On a scorching May afternoon in 2025, a thunderous echo ripped through the skies of Doha. It wasn't war, it wasn't celebration, it was a signature, etched in steel and jet fuel. Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani had just closed the most audacious aerospace deal in Gulf history. $96 billion, 160 Boeing aircraft, and a contract that sent ripples from the Pentagon to the Kremlin. For the cameras, it was a handshake. For the elite, it was power consolidated. This wasn't just about planes, it was about positioning, control, access, and one-man's silent war to turn Qatar into the crown jewel of Middle Eastern aviation. What the world didn't see was the months of encrypted calls, clandestine visits to Seattle, and intelligence briefings cloaked as business meetings. Emir Tamim didn't just buy jets, he bought leverage, and in doing so, he turned Qatar Airways into a sovereign weapon. Behind the curtain of Qatari strategy. Before the ink dried, the play began in silence. Sources close to the royal court say that Emir Tamim orchestrated the deal like a chess master. Covert envoys dispatched to Boeing HQ, shadow negotiations run parallel to United States-Qatar diplomatic backchannels. At the heart of Tamim's strategy was asymmetrical advantage. He wasn't buying just aircraft. He was buying aviation supremacy without drawing the geopolitical firestorm that accompanies military procurement. Every meeting, every coded telegram was designed not just to acquire jets, but to cloak them in civil neutrality while embedding military-grade capabilities. Senior aides from the Emiri Diwan say the idea germinated during a 2024 intelligence briefing on emerging air dominance technologies. Rather than escalate a regional arms race with visible force, Tamim chose the quieter weapon, commercial supremacy laced with statecraft. The aircraft order included the 777X, a jet so advanced it had yet to complete its military adaptation. Tamim pushed for classified customization, requesting AI-driven autopilot redundancies, cabin-integrated EM shielding, and biometric access systems derived from Qatari intelligence protocols. Boeing's response was cautious at first, but Tamim leveraged the moment. Supply chain delays from China, pending WTO pressures, and mounting competition from Airbus. He created scarcity and urgency in parallel. A Qatari delegation flew unannounced to Toulouse to open backdoor talks with Airbus, while a second team launched exploratory dialogues with Turkish drone manufacturers to signal diversification. Word reached Boeing fast. By early 2025, the deal's architecture resembled a sovereign defense pact more than a civil contract. Tamim included conditions for ground-based digital infrastructure, including private satellite uplinks and Qatar-only data vaulting capabilities aboard each aircraft. And timing was everything. As Iranian air defense drills escalated near the Strait of Hormuz and the United Arab Emirates fast-tracked its F-35 program with American partners, Tamim struck, announcing a $96 billion investment cloaked in the velvet robe of economic expansion. Each plane, rumored to be equipped with custom biometric passenger suites, AI-piloted backup modes, and quantum-encrypted communications, became more than commercial aircraft. They became flying fortresses. But it wasn't just the tech, it was the orchestration, a long game of leverage played in absolute silence where power didn't roar. It cruised at 35,000 feet. A royal theater of power and precision. The public ceremony in Doha was opulent. Gold-threaded carpets, sword-bearing guards, a stage lit not just by chandelier, but by geopolitical intent. United States executives smiled for the cameras. Emir Tamim barely flinched. According to insiders, the deal was sealed in a private chamber beneath the Emiri Diwan, a biometric-sealed vault where no electronic recording could penetrate. Witnesses described the atmosphere as electric. The final signing attended by elite operatives from both Qatar's Mukhabarat and United States Homeland Security. But what unfolded in the hours before the signing was a masterclass in Gulf diplomacy. Tamim hosted a closed-door banquet at the subterranean Royal Majlis, a cavernous room adorned in 24-carat gold leaf and inlaid with sapphires gifted by a former Kazakh president. The guest list? Hand-picked Boeing executives, top-tier United States intelligence envoys, and a single Emirati observer under diplomatic immunity. The cuisine was symbolic: Iranian saffron risotto beside Texan Wagyu, a message that Qatar was positioning itself as the East-West fulcrum. The wine, Non-existent. Instead, cold-pressed date elixirs imported from a private oasis in Al Rayyan were served, a nod to tradition, control, and subtle provocation. At midnight, the majlis was sealed, phones were surrendered. A procession of palace guards swept the room for foreign listening devices. What followed, sources say, was a 2-hour closed session where Tamim demanded assurances, not just aircraft, but technology transfers, data protection guarantees, and United States airspace reciprocity for Qatar's sovereign jets. The Boeing CEO reportedly hesitated until presented with a confidential dossier detailing China's recent attempt to woo Qatar with a 70-aircraft package. That was the lever. Tamim didn't have to negotiate, he only had to reveal. By dawn, the contract was finalized, but the United States delegation was asked to delay public announcement for 72 hours. Why? To allow Qatar to prepare its digital infrastructure, firewalls, secure transmission satellites, and media narrative, ensuring the message would land exactly as intended. Outside, the streets of Doha bore no sign of tension, but within the upper tiers of Gulf intelligence, alarm bells rang. This wasn't a mere airline expansion, it was a royal realignment. Surveillance in the skies. What few noticed amid the glamour were the surveillance provisions embedded within the aircraft design. Each Boeing 777X Qatar ordered was custom-fitted with sovereign-level encrypted server rooms and onboard intelligence relay pods. These jets wouldn't just carry dignitaries and oil tycoons, they'd carry data, invisible, valuable, weaponized. Tamim had turned aviation into espionage. Each aircraft was outfitted with next-generation data absorption panels mounted beneath its underbelly, capable of intercepting and recording encrypted signals from commercial and military satellites. These airborne platforms functioned as flying command centers, able to map digital signatures, triangulate signal origin points, and patch secure intelligence in real time to Qatar's Central Signal Command in Lusail. Insiders claimed that during testing over the Mediterranean, one jet successfully eavesdropped on a North Atlantic Treaty Organization naval exercise, not for sabotage, but for calibration. The message was clear. Qatar's new fleet didn't just fly above the region, it saw everything below. One source, a former Boeing cyber engineer now under non-disclosure in Geneva, leaked that the aircraft's onboard networks could detect foreign signal attempts within a 250-kilometer radius, relaying real-time location data to a classified bunker beneath Lusail City. Even the cabin layouts reflected state priorities. Select aircraft featured ghost cabins behind false panels, miniature operations rooms outfitted with Faraday cages, quantum drives, and escape protocols that rival any military airframe. From Abu Dhabi to Tehran, Gulf monarchies began revisiting their own aerospace strategies. Emir Tamim had quietly forced a regional tech arms race from the clouds. Isolation in influence. Power isolates, and in Tamim's case, it encased him in an air-gilded vacuum. Despite the public warmth during Trump's Middle East tour, US diplomats privately expressed concern over Qatar's growing aerospace independence. Saudi and UAE officials, previously ambivalent about Qatar's aviation ambitions, began moving budget toward rapid military modernization. Sources confirm a Riyadh-Abu Dhabi joint task force was created weeks after the Qatar deal, codenamed Falcon Net. But for Tamim, the silence was the prize. No protest, no sanctions, just envy and recalibration. As the first Qatar-modified Boeing 777X took off from Hamad International under nightfall, the world watched in silence. Within diplomatic circles, however, tensions stirred. A leaked communiqué from the European External Action Service revealed growing unease over the opacity and technological sovereignty Qatar now possessed. Several EU nations quietly requested classified overflight data from NATO partners to track Qatar's sovereign jets. Meanwhile, Tamim's advisors tightened internal communications. All data related to the Boeing fleet was rerouted through an underground server cluster beneath the Ministry of Transport. Only 3 officials, including Tamim himself, had full clearance. In Riyadh, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman convened a closed-door strategy session with aerospace contractors from BAE Systems and Raytheon. UAE followed with its own announcement, a $45 billion investment into an AI-controlled drone fleet by 2028. The ripple effect was undeniable. Yet, in Doha, the mood was undisturbed. Inside the palace, Tamim's daily schedule became more solitary, no public banquets, fewer diplomatic receptions. His world, once full of handshakes and summits, now revolved around silent screens, private runways, and encrypted status reports from jets circling the globe. This was no longer just a deal, it was a doctrine, and Tamim, the monarch who conquered the skies, had done it without firing a shot. Emir Tamim did not just sign a deal, he rewrote the rules of Gulf sovereignty. He turned the sky into a chessboard and his fleet into flying queens that checkmate rivals before they move. In an era where oil fades and data reigns, he took to the clouds, not for escape, but for empire. The West applauded politely, the Gulf rearmed quietly, and above it all, Qatar flew in silence, its jets carrying no flag, only a presence. Tamim had seized a realm no border could define, and no rival could intercept. The crown is no longer worn, it flies. Would you choose this kind of power? If it meant watching the world from 35,000 feet utterly alone? Drop your thoughts in the comments. One reply will win a mystery luxury gift.